Hey, it's your girl, Allison Williams.
Hey, this is Devon Howard.
Hi, this is Beth.
Hi, this is Cindy Mizell.
Hi, this is Tony Walker.
Hey, what's good, y'all? This is Darian Dean.
Hey, everybody, this is the Queen of Philadelphia, Tanqueray Hayward.
Hey, everybody, this is Yasira.
Hi, this is Mason.
Hey, everybody, this is Russell Taylor.
Hey, guys, what's up? This is Ness.
Hey, this is Kenny Allen.
What's up, everybody? This is Cecily.
Hey, this is Corey J.
Hey, this is your girl, Castella.
Hey, everybody, this is Rebecca G.
Hey, everyone, this is Hill Street Soul.
What's up, good people? This is bassist Hubert Hughes the Fourth.
This is Melvin Lee Davis.
Yo, what's second? This is Noel Gordine.
Hey, this is your girl, Lady Alma, and you're listening to my friend Troy Saunders on the Bass Entertainment Podcast.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Bass Entertainment Podcast. It's your host, like Lady Alma said, Troy Saunders here. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, you shouldn't have. I got to joke a little bit around. I got to make you laugh a little bit. But yeah, I got to give myself some hand claps, as I say every week. If you don't love yourself, who else going to love you? So I got to give myself a little bit of love too. But in case you are just tuning in and you haven't listened to the 118 episodes that we have on the Bass Entertainment Podcast, what we do here is we bring you the best in indie soul, jazz, R&B, house, inspirational music. And matter of fact, anything that makes you feel good, anything that's going to uplift your spirits, anything that's going to calm you, anything that's going to make you laugh and want to love up on one another. That's what we do here at Bass Entertainment. So if you're in need of any of those things, you are at the right place. Yes. And I just want to wait a second. I hear something. Uh-oh. Yeah. This song right here is going to bring us to our special guest today. Yeah. She's the legendary, the incomparable Miss Sherry Winston. Flutist Sherry Winston has been doing this since the mid-'80s. And I'm so honored to have her on here today. Yes. So without further ado, matter of fact, that song is also called Sherry Love. So that's why I played it. So we got Sherry Love in person right now, Miss Sherry Winston. And I just want to introduce to you all, Miss Sherry Winston. Hey, can you hear me?
I can absolutely hear you. Unfortunately, I couldn't hear the music.
Oh.
Of course, I know what it sounds like since I recorded it, but I saw you over there grooving and I was ready to be grooving, but couldn't hear it.
Oh, I apologize. You know why? Because I probably had the mute button on in case something was going on in the background.
That's okay.
But how are you doing today?
Well, now that I'm seeing you and putting a voice to the face, I feel fantastic.
Well, thank you. And so do I. I am so glad that you're on here today. I'm glad and honored that Jane Diggs and Leroy Diggs that I saw at Uncle Chief's put us together, put us in contact with one another.
I know. I can't believe it. I mean, it was just fantastic, and she told me all about you. And of course, I knew about Chiefs. So it was sort of a nice introduction and a nice surprise.
Yeah, I'm surprised too. So you never know what you do when you put yourself out there and go speak to somebody. Because, I saw her sitting there at Uncle Chief's and I said, oh my God, she looks like my friend Cindy. I had to go tell her. I said, you know what? You look exactly like Cindy. I mean, you don't know Cindy, but even my daughter was with me. She's like, oh my gosh, she does look like Cindy. So I was just drawn to her. So I had to go say something. And now look what came out of it.
Well, you know what I say? That's God's hand. Nothing is by accident. This was supposed to happen for whatever reason. Beyond this, I think you and I were supposed to connect. So that's a wonderful thing. You put it out in the universe and be open. Don't say no, say yes, and see what happens.
Exactly. Now, like I was telling people ahead just a few minutes ago, I mean, you have been putting out albums like 1986. We coming on 40 years of music excellence. But nobody would ever know. You look fabulous.
Well, thank you. I'm supposed to look fabulous. That's why I was at the gym this morning.
I know that's right.
I'm trying to keep it together,
Yes.
Got to be underweight and ready to box,
You are definitely keeping it together.
Thank you very much. So are you. You're a very handsome young man over there.
Well, thank you. I'm trying to keep it together. So let's go back to that a little bit. Now, let's go a little further back than that. Now, from what I'm reading, it says that you picked up the flute at the age of 11.
Right, I did. And we're not going to count backwards and figure out when that was and how old I am. We're not going there.
No, we're not going to do that. But what made you pick up the flute? What was going on in your household? Was your family members always into music, or you went to school and they said, they do. All right, these are the instruments that we're gonna play. We're gonna start a band. Pick one.
It's something like that. But actually, I had piano lessons as a very young girl, and my dad was a professional musician. Although during the day he was a postman, my mom was a secretary, and then she was a mathematical analyst for Union Carbide, but they both were in an all-black band during USO, and they went overseas and did everything for the Army. So that was kind of interesting. So music is definitely in my background. So I started taking piano lessons. I was horrible. I hated it. And the teacher taught me the notes in colors, so I didn't bother to learn the names of the notes. I was just playing with the colors, Then there comes a point where they take the colors away and you're supposed to know the names of the notes. Well, I didn't, so she kind of caught me and said, what note is that? And I said, I don't know, that's red. She said, no, that's A. What is this?
Well, you put
so
that
anyway, we parted company.
Right.
When I got to junior high school, kind of what you said, to be fair, they lined us up alphabetically. So guess where I was at the end of the line? So I was a bit of a tomboy. I wanted to play drums or trumpet, one or the other, but mostly drums. And the drums were gone, like in the first 5 minutes. By the time they got all the way to me, and this was like a concert band, you would call it, they had a tuba and a flute. And I looked over in the corner and I saw that ugly, gigantic tuba that was rusty. And I said, I'm not taking that. I don't know what the flute is. Whatever it is, I'll take it. So this is one of these spiritual things that we kind of met each other right there in the band room.
And once you picked it up, you said, oh, you know what? I can get into this.
No, not really. I was awful. I couldn't make a sound, and I want people to know this because where you start out is not necessarily where you end. And it depends on your discipline. It depends on your ego, how much you don't want to be the last one and the worst one in the class. And your ego tells you, girl, you got to take this home and practice this. You sound bad, not in a good way, bad. So I spoke to the teacher. I said, look, I can't get a sound. They give you just a mouthpiece and I'm blowing in this thing. Of course, I had the improper embouchure, but nothing's happening. I said, heck with this. Let me take this thing home. Took it home and practiced it until I could figure out the embouchure, brought it back, stuck it in the rest of the flute, and then I was ready to really go. So that was kind of my whole formative years of being in different bands. And then when I got to high school, they had, I don't know, 15, 20 flutes, something like that. So the teacher looked at me and he said, okay, your last flute, sit over there. I said, last flute? Wait a minute. My ego was like just disturbed. I said, why should I be last flute? Of course, I'm the only Black one in the class, right? So, or in that flute section. So he said, well, you're last. And if you don't like it, you can challenge the person next to you and work your way up the band. So if that's what you want to do, let me know. And I'll give you both the same piece of music. You take it home and learn it. Come back and we'll see what happens. So that's what I did. I said, shoot, why should I be last flute just because I'm Black? That's crazy. So P.S., I worked my way all the way up the band, had all of these auditions with the teacher and another student, got to the person that was first flute, who was a senior, and this guy was really, really good. I wasn't that good yet. So I said, I'm happy right here. I'm not challenging him. So we just went from there. But then the teacher had a different respect for me. And then we became literally friends. Even after I graduated from college, I went back and I saw him. So, life brings you in a full circle.
Yeah. And where were you raised at? Where were you born and raised at?
I was born in Queens, in Corona, if you know that area, very funky area at the time, like lower to middle class Black neighborhood. And we were adjoining Jackson Heights, which at the time was primarily Jewish. So it was a kind of an interesting neighborhood. And we would get in the car and go down to Jackson Heights to get our food because the A&P in our neighborhood was funky.
Right, they had better quality over there.
Absolutely. We got all the rotten fruit and all that stuff. So we peeped that really early. And luckily we had one of these old Dodges and we all got in the car and went over there and it was like, wow, look at this fruit. Look at these vegetables. Stuff is beautiful. So that was it for us. But, it's interesting how these things affect you in your life about discrimination and whatnot on a basic level, foundational level.
Well, I was born and raised in East New York, Brooklyn. And
okay.
You know what I'm talking about. And East New York is a mess, right? So,
Sounds like we came out of similar circumstances.
Right. So, matter of fact, I was just in Brooklyn last weekend and I told my cousin, I said, wow, I can't even believe that some of these areas, or you see blonde ponytails swinging. I said, I bet you don't see it in East New York. He said, nope, they over there too. He's like, I'm like, what? He's like,
I know.
He said,
well, my neighborhood has become all Latino.
Yeah.
And then Jackson Heights has become Asian or I should say Southeast Asian. So it's interesting how these neighborhoods change.
Because I remember going to Jackson Heights because I lived, after we moved from Brooklyn, we moved to Queens. And my parents,
what part of Queens were you in?
Hollis. My parents bought a house in Hollis.
I know Hollis. That was a nice neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. And then once I got out of the Marine Corps, I moved to Kew Garden Hills, Union Turnpike and Main Street.
Excuse me.
So,
very nice.
You got to move on up sometimes, just a little bit.
Well, and eventually I moved to what was Jamaica Estates.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's true.
After I got out of college, that was like the first building I tried to get into and had to wind up going to the Human Rights Commission to get in there because when I showed up, when I talked to them over the phone, they said, oh, you qualify. At the time I was doing social work for the city of New York. So they said, oh, yeah, your income is fine, blah, 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 blah. When I got there and they saw this, they said, oh, no, we just let go the last apartment. I said, that's impossible. I'm here like in 20 minutes. How could the apartment be gone? Mm-hmm. So I called the Human Rights Commission. They sent a white couple over. They got the apartment immediately. And then they went to work in terms of getting ready to sue them. So shortly thereafter, I got a phone call. Oh, we're looking forward to you coming and putting your application in. And it was gorgeous building, brand new. You could go down in the parking lot, go right into wall bombs, the supermarket. You didn't even have to go out of the building, parking if you had a car, just all kinds of amenities. They had a swimming pool, which really appealed to me in the bottom part of the apartment house. So lovely place.
I went through something similar because, it was a co-op and I was buying into it. So I have to own my apartment. And at the time I was like 24, 25, something like that.
Wow, that's incredible that you owned a place that early in your life. That's excellent.
Well, my parents told me, when you leave this house, you're not going to rent. Whatever you're going to do, you're going to own.
Isn't that something? That was great advice. But obviously you had the money that you had saved from the Marine Corps, right?
What happened, my parents were charging me rent too. Once I got a Marine Corps, they was like, if you're going to stay here, you would charge you some rent. But they was taking the money also and putting it to the side for me.
That's wonderful.
And
if they didn't do this, I tell you, I have a neighbor who had a son that was living with them and he was 40-something years old. So that was like they needed to put him out 15 years prior to that. You know what I'm saying?
You ain't lying.
His mother was probably still making up his bed and,
I told my friends, the people that got kids that still living at home, they're like, we can't give him. I said, you can't get rid of him because you make it too comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you gotta make him hate you a little bit.
Oh, yeah. But charging rent is the way to go, Because then putting restrictions on when you have to come home. Because that's what happened to me after I graduated from college. My mom figured we'd go into the mother-daughter, child-mother relationship that we had when I was a kid. She started telling me what time to come home. I said, wait a second. I've been away at Howard University for 4 years. How are you you didn't know what time I was getting in when I was there. How are you going to tell me being by 11 o'clock now? That's crazy. So she said, you live in this house, you live by my rules. Child, I was out of there. I said, this is not going to work.
Same thing happened to me. I came home for the Marine Corps. I said, wait a second, I was in the Marine Corps. I was doing,
my gosh.
You going to tell me I need to be in by this time and blah, 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 blah.
Wow, you were carrying a gun too, My goodness, you were like armed and dangerous. And they're saying, come home at 11 or whatever time. What was your curfew?
Well, it wasn't 11. It was like, you better not let the sun catch you. That's what it was. So at least I don't have to maybe
it's silly to put any restrictions, especially on a male. I mean, a female might be a little different because, your mom doesn't want you to be great with child, as they used to say in the Bible. She wants you to have time to develop your career and all of that and not saddled. I won't say saddled with a family, but starting a family without the formal comfort of a husband that is now partially responsible for the household. Right. You're kind of on your own. And how are you going to conduct a career? I mean, and not, of course, there are women that do it, but it's stressful, very stressful.
They want it to be as easy as possible on you. They don't want all that stress on their child.
Right, exactly. And believe me, I didn't want a child at that point, in my life. So, and still don't.
I have a 15-year-old daughter now. And
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I love her. And I mean, I'm a what we call grandpa daddy, because everybody else that I know that's my age, their kids are 30.
Oh yeah, right.
40, some of them,
Right.
And then I hear, I got a 15-year-old, and they, their kids are all left the house or whatever, or still in the house, and they need to kick them out,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I'm as old as a lot of the kids that goes to school with my daughter as their grandparents.
Wow.
So I better keep it together.
Well, we all handle our lives differently and whatever comes through our lives. So you're doing a good job. You look like you could be your daughter's friend rather than her dad.
Well, thank you. I'm trying to, I'm fighting.
You're keeping it together. Come on now. Smile, smile, smile.
Oh, man.
Hi, this is Melvin Lee Davis, and you're listening to Troy Saunders on Bass Entertainment Podcast. Come on, get you some.
So let's get back to you said Howard University. Now, you went to Howard.
And Kamala Harris went to Howard.
Yes.
Kamala Harris is an AKA, and so am I.
All right. Oh, I'm gonna do the ski-wee. I don't know why all of my friends are AKAs. All of my female friends are AKAs.
Well, you know how I feel. I think once you graduate, you become an adult, you get out here, you start a career and whatever success you're having. I mean, I love the Deltas. I love all the sororities. We're all Black sisters together. You know, that's how I feel. And the rivalry has to stop. It's silly at this point in your life to be worrying about who is what sorority or fraternity, you know, and people sometimes carry that in the 70s and 80s with having a serious rivalry. It's like, what is wrong with you?
Right. That's like, what was it? Spike Lee School Days.
You know, hey, we're all glad that we got out of college, we got a degree, you know, we had the experience, and pledging was something else. You know, you had a lot to juggle at that age and a lot to learn about being compatible with people. And my line name was The Fugitive because I found a way of getting out of their way so I didn't get in a whole lot of trouble with my big sisters. You know, where's Sherry Winston? Has anybody seen her? We haven't seen her in 3 days. Girl, you better get back to this campus.
You was in stealth mode.
I was always running somewhere hiding. I did not want to get any kind of punishment or have to eat any horrible stuff. So I made myself scarce.
Now, people might not know, but you worked at Columbia Records.
I most certainly did. I also worked at Arista for Clive Davis, which was quite a trip. And I worked for Electra Asylum. That was my first job in the industry. And that came about because when I moved out of my mother's house, I had to do something. So I did social work for the city of New York for like 8.5 years. And then that just became too much. You know, I was working with older people and I found myself holding on to the staircase and whatnot.
And you were just 20.
Right, exactly. You know, every other week I was catching a cold from these folks. I said, I got to get out of here. And I'm going to do something. I'm going to get in the music industry because that's really what I want to do. So I went to Warner Communication and applied for a job. And this sister was there, you know, testing everybody and whatnot. And she said, I want to see you type. And so I said, I can't type. So she says, well, come on. And I said, okay. And I'm pecking at the keyboard, you know, and she said, you have to get up to 60 words a minute. I said, oh my gosh. So I said, okay, I'll go home and practice. Did that, came back, made the cut. So she started me as a receptionist. And I worked for a lot of different companies under the banner of Warner Communication. And I even got a chance to work for Robert Redford at his company because he was part of, it's called Wildwood, part of that conglomerate. And I got to work for the Cosmos, which was also under Warner, Atlantic Records, Electra Asylum, and what else? I think that was it. But from Electra being their receptionist, people would come to the desk and say, oh, can you do this for me after work? Can you lick these envelopes, you know, and put stamps on them? I said, sure, I'd love to. You know, I'd be there extra hour and a half. So I got to be known as the go-to person that would do anything for anybody and smile and not be nasty. So within a month, they moved me up from being a receptionist to being like 3 guys secretary. So I learned pop music, I learned R&B, and I think I learned independent promotion. So nobody really teach you how to promote a record. So I used to just listen in on my different bosses' conversations. And that's how I learned how to become a promoter of records, calling radio stations and taking artists to record stores. And people don't even know what that is anymore. Record stores, what are you talking about?
Right. Well, you know what? They're starting to make a little comeback, though.
Somewhat, but this was like, you know, very serious stuff.
Right.
Because that was the only way that record companies could try to make their money back. Getting the songs played on the radio, getting the consumer to go to the record store and buy the actual album or CD or single or whatever, you know. So they put a lot of pressure on you to get those records played.
So then that led you to Columbia?
It did, because like I said, my first company was Electro Asylum. Then I got a bit of a good reputation in the industry as being a person that would show up on time, do her work, no fooling around, no drugs, nothing. And Clive Davis called me and wanted me to come over to Arista for like double my salary. So I was like out of there, right? Work for Clive, which was very hard. He was like very hard taskmaster, and he'd be on you. You know, I remember the first day I showed up for work and I was invited to go to their executive luncheon. So I walked in there and I really expected to eat lunch, right? Like a civilized person. Yeah, listen, I sat down and everybody was waiting for Clive to show up. So he walks in, and as he's walking, he starts talking because he knows I'm the newest member of the team, the so-called executive team. So he said, Sherry Winston, I want to know what you're going to do with Dave Valentine and how many records has he sold and what's your projection of his records? And one question after another. I mean, it was a whole stream of stuff, and I'm trying to remember all these questions he's asking me. So I thought to myself, this is ridiculous. So I said, Mr. Davis, Dave Valentine sells, all of his albums have sold 60,000 albums, period. His next album, it's the same music. He has not changed his format. He has not changed the sound of his music. He is going to sell 60,000 records, and I don't expect him to sell one more record. And then I just went on, and he sat there with his mouth open. So basically, I just told him, don't think I'm going to double his sales. Why would I double his sales if he's doing the same thing and he's got a certain core audience and that's it? So, then he had me writing up a report for the whole staff every week on how the jazz artists were doing and what I wanted the R&B staff to do to try to cross these records over, the ones that could be crossed. So like Tom Brown, for an example, Funkin' for Jamaica. That wasn't broken at jazz radio. That was broken at R&B radio. So getting the R&B staff to get behind that record, and all you had to do was hear that first trumpet, da-da. It was like, what?
Right, and then the beat drops in.
And then that funk set in, child, and the background singers, it was like, get out of here. This is awesome. Mm-hmm. So, that was like a fun project to work.
Well, that's why, now that it all makes sense, because I just remember when I heard your name, all I could think of was WBLS.
Hal Jackson,
right.
Amen, amen.
Right.
Hal loved him some Sherry Winston, let me tell
yes.
you. And I am still friends, very good friends, with his wife, Debbie Jackson.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep, and I have done shows for her. So, it's interesting. But Hal used to play me on WBLS.
Yep. Yep.
And he didn't play too many jazz artists. He would just look for the right cut. And then he knew me from the Jackie Robinson Foundation. They used to have, at first, this was a long time ago, and I was like a little kid when he had his jazz concerts at Jackie Robinson's house. Mm. So I would go there and I would hear Herbie Mann and all these people. And I'm like looking up at Herbie Mann standing up on stage playing the flute. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I would love to do that. And I was just, a kid. I wasn't in the position to be doing any concerts or anything. But that was one of my first role models. Mm. And then I went out, I got all of his records. I used to try to play to his records, get the flute tuned up so it's in the same key and everything. And then one day, I'm trying to remember, I heard Hubert Laws, and it was all over. Mm. And I heard him playing at a black dance, if you can believe that. He was playing saxophone, and he picked up the flute and started playing flute, and he blew my mind. I just said, Oh my goodness. I have never heard anybody play flute like that in my life.
The master.
Oh, so being a bold Black woman, I walked over to him and I said, I'm Sherry Winston. I shook his hand. I'm a flutist and I want to study with you. So I think he thought I was cute. So he said, okay, here's my address. Give me a call, and you can start lessons. And that's what I did. I got to study with Hubert. And years later, I got invited to play with him at Carnegie Hall. Wow. 3 times with the other Laws family, Ronnie Laws, Eloise Laws, and Deborah Laws. So Manischewitz, that was like the highlight of my life, but also the most scary thing that has ever happened to me in my life.
I can imagine to be on the Carnegie Hall stage with your mentor.
Well, what was so bad about it? He should have said, "Okay, you improvise first, okay, and then maybe Ronnie or whatever. Now here's the master, and here's how it's supposed to go." No, Hubert played first. And my flute said, girl, put me in the case and just walk off the stage real quietly. Hurry up and get out of here, because that's World War II. What are you going to do after World War II? It was crazy. I was so intimidated. I could hardly play. It was just like I'd really talked to myself and said, play within yourself. Don't try to compete with that. You can't compete with it. You got to be you. Don't try to be Hubert Laws. You can't be Hubert Laws. That's what I did.
Hey, everybody, this is Rebecca Jade, and you're listening to Troy Saunders on the one and only Bass Entertainment Podcast.
Mm-hmm. Now, being at the record companies, I noticed, did you ever sign to a major label, or was most of your albums independent?
Well, you're very insightful, very insightful. I was sort of discovered by one of the subsidiaries, I'm trying to remember the name of it now, of Columbia Records. This guy heard me play for the Congressional Black Caucus. I was in Washington, D.C. I was playing with my band poolside, and it was one of the events that the Congressional Black Caucus was having, for the whole Congressional Black Caucus week. And Pepsi Cola had hired me to do this, little thing at the pool. So this guy walks by and he's sort of checking me out. He's got his hands in his pockets. So as I'm playing, he walks by and he puts his card in my pocket. I was wearing some pants and a top. So after I finished playing, I looked at this card. And I'm trying to remember the name of this subsidiary, and it's not coming to me. Pardon me?
Is it KTEL?
No. I was on KTEL. No, but a subsidiary of Columbia Records. Mm-hmm. And I should be able. Oh, it was Epic. Okay. Epic Records. Remember Epic? Mm-hmm. So I got so excited. I went to meet this guy. And I had just recorded Do It for Love. So I let him hear this. And he said, this is incredible. Not only do I want to record you, but I also want you to produce some records for us. Well, I thought my head was going to blow off. That was the most incredible, God thing that had ever happened to me in my entire life. Now, what he didn't know is Columbia had approached me as an executive. They heard about my work at Arista. So I had actually done an interview with Columbia, and they hired me to start on that Monday. And that's the same day I went to see Epic Records, because it's in the same building. So on my lunch hour, I went down and saw this guy and let him hear my record and da-da-da-da-da. Well, when Columbia, who had just hired me, found out that I was about to sign with Epic Records and be out of there in terms of Columbia, I was no longer going to be a promoter. They blew the roof off that place. They were so mad. And they called this guy at Epic and said, you are not signing her because we just released they used to release 10, 12 records at a time in jazz, never mind pop. And they said, I had like Wynton Marsalis, Branford, I had Harry Connick Jr., I had Nancy Wilson, I had Hubert and Ronnie Laws. I mean, the roster was crazy. Herbie Hancock, it was all of these, Miles Davis. It was like, what? So they said, if you sign this girl, now we got to start searching for a top-notch promoter again. So that deal is squashed. Forget about it. When I heard that, my heart just broke. And they said, you are not being signed, so you have no choice but to come and work for us. And that's what they literally did to me. Now, where my career would be, at this stage of my life, or how much money I would have, or what kind of positioning I would have in the whole entertainment establishment would be, that I probably could have been a superstar by now, which I am not. I consider myself a average working class musician. But I could have had, some serious money, serious position, great recording deals, produced other artists, the whole 9 yards. So that was pretty devastating. And then to go and work for the people that just squashed my dreams, it was terrible. But I was making more money than I'd ever made in my life. I had a staff, I had all kinds of benefits, which I didn't have as an independent musician. So, I bought my house because of Columbia Records. So, I can't complain, but so much. But still, how do you get your dreams totally squashed and, live beyond that?
But see, you still continued on. You still wind up finding a way to put your music out there.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because they had a little clause it wasn't a contract, it was an agreement with me that, because they knew I wouldn't sign saying something that I couldn't play any longer, because they asked me that once you come and work for us, you can't perform anymore. And I said, oh, excuse me, I'm out of here. And I was getting ready to walk out the door. I said, you're like cutting my right arm off. What do you mean I can't play anymore? That's crazy. So they said, okay, wait, we'll modify this, that you can record, you can't record within this company, and you can't record during the day. Duh, why would I try to record during the day when I'm supposed to be working? You can't compete with an artist. You can't do this, that, and the other thing. So I agreed to all of that. Meanwhile, girlfriend was signing an agreement, I think, with KTEL. So I recorded at night. I'd go in the studio as soon as I got out of the office. I'd head to the studio and I'd, be working on my album till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Get in a cab and go home. At that time, I lived in New York, right in the city, and be up, go to the gym. That was like to, wake my brain up, and the same thing I'm still doing now, and go to work. Yeah. So when that record came out, they had a heart attack. They were so mad. And then I was on the charts with Wynton Marsalis and all of their artists. So that's when I got fired, because they said, oh, we know you're sitting in your office promoting your record. I said, that's not a moral thing to do. Why would I do that?
Right.
So they didn't believe that anybody moral work for record companies. Because people
they used to everybody being dirty.
Please, people were doing this, they were doing, drinking, doing drugs. They were doing everything. I wasn't doing any of that. So, you live a clean lifestyle and you can put your body through a lot of stuff, like little sleep, being awake and sharp and all of that, if you fill the rest of your life with nurturing good things.
Yeah. So true.
So, and then they fired me,
Ooh, the hatred.
I got my revenge, though.
Yes, you did. Remember, let's play a little song from Do It for Love. Let's see let's play the title song.
Oh, that's great. That's the same guy that did Sherry Love.
Okay, see?
Then you're tuned into him. His name is Van Gibbs.
So, Van, we love
Van
this.
Gibbs.
Yes. So we're going to play Do It for Love. Let's check this one out, y'all. don't want to play the whole thing, y'all, because I want y'all to be hungry. I want you to say, wait a second, he cut that off. I want to hear that whole thing. Therefore, you had to go over there and get a copy. You had to stream it. You had to do something if you want to hear the whole thing. Plus, we got so much to talk about and so much music. We talking about, almost 40 years. We got a lot of music to get to.
You got to start talking about that 40 years, my brother.
Oh, okay. 10 plus years.
Thank you. Just say a lot of years. Leave it at that.
Okay. So yeah, I don't know why you can't hear it. I'm trying to see. I didn't change anything.
That's okay. I can hear you now. So I know what it sounds like. I'm still playing that song, believe it or not. It's one of my favorite songs. It really is. Mostly every concert I do, I'll play that song.
It's a beautiful song.
Oh my God, I just love it. And I have not lost the passion for it, even though it was one of the first singles that I ever recorded. So that's a sign of a really, really good song.
Yes, it is.
Really good song.
Yes, it is. I love it.
What's up, good people? This is Bassist Hubert Hughes IV, and I'm chilling with my man Troy at Bass Entertainment. Tune in and stay safe.
And on that album, you also have a song called "Song for Jocelyn."
Right, that I wrote for my mom.
Okay.
And I wrote one for my brother called Michael's Theme. Okay. And then, of course, I had to do one for my dad, Chuck's Funk. Mm-hmm. So it's been an interesting journey. And writing for me came about because I had a boyfriend around that time that was an art director at an ad agency. And he used to ask me, why do you just perform other people's music? Why don't you write your own music? And I said, I can't write music. I mean, So he said, I bet you can. I said, I don't know. He says, well, you better hope I win this argument, So what I realized when I was going to work on the bus, I was going down the Fifth Avenue bus, I was making up songs in my head and I didn't realize I was doing it. And I'd just be humming to myself on the bus, looking out the window at the, whatever was passing by. And then I said, wow, maybe I can write. And then I was wondering if I was stealing songs from my artists because a record was on in my office all day long. Whoever was the latest artist that I was working on, I would constantly be listening to somebody. We had so many artists. We even had pop and, R&B and whatever. So I listened to all of it because we got everybody's records. And then you would meet other people at other labels and then you would trade records. So I have a record collection like you wouldn't believe. So I started saying, well, maybe when I get home, I should, try to write this down. And then I realized, let me go get a little recorder and sing whatever I'm hearing in my head into the recorder so I don't lose it. Because by the time I get home, after sitting in my office listening to all these songs all day, there's no way I would remember what I was hearing in my head. So that's what I literally started doing. And that's how I started writing my songs.
And then you would get other musicians to...
Well, I found this guy, Sam Johnson, and he was like a little Stevie Wonder. This guy was like unbelievable. And I would have him come up to my apartment. I had a small keyboard and I would say, Sam, I'm getting stuck. Here's what I wrote so far. I don't know where this song goes. So I might have something like do 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 do, just a little motif. And then I would write a little more of it. And I said, now I'm stuck. And then he would finish the rest of it. Or I would write the whole A section and he would write the B section. And that's what happened with the song for Jocelyn. And it was like it was coming right out of my head. I mean, he fit me so perfectly. So I wrote a number of songs like that with him. And then finally I got to the point where I had enough confidence in myself to complete the songs. And he moved to LA, so it's a good thing that I figured out how to write a song by myself.
Right. Here's a little song for Jocelyn. Wow. Because I ask a lot of musicians nowadays, and someone say, oh, well, somebody has a track, and then I find a track that I like, and then I just play over it or something like that.
Oh, really? Wow.
Some people do it like that nowadays. Yes. But I like the way you used to do it, or the way you do it, you know? It seems like it's more personable.
Well, I think it's God-given, to be honest with you. I keep talking about God, but for some melody to pop into my head out of nowhere, you know, like I find when I'm doing sports, that's when stuff comes to me. So if I'm scuba diving or even walking or skiing, I remember skiing and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to remember this song? I'm on this top of this mountain and I'm getting ready to come down this path, you know. And then I would realize, let me go find a phone and call my answering machine at home and sing the melody, whatever it is, into the answering machine. And that's how I would capture stuff. This was before I started walking around with little, remember they used to have those Sony little, what do you call them, recorders? Yeah. Now you can do it on your phone. Yeah. You can just record something, you know.
You know, I always dream up songs. So
really,
what happens to me? I'm dreaming, I'm sleeping, and I hear somebody singing the song. Like it could be Shaka Khan on the stage singing a song, and I'm in my dream like, yeah, sing that song, girl.
And it's really your song that you're making up.
And then I wake up.
You need to wake up and sing that into a tape recorder. I'm telling you,
I got a whole bunch of stuff that I sung into my phone.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but
and what'd you do with it?
It's just sitting there right now.
No, see, are you a musician also?
Well, I used to play the trumpet, but that was like 30 years ago. So I haven't picked up a trumpet in ages. So.
Okay. You've got to become friends with a keyboard player and then have the keyboard player transcribe what you've sung so far into that and then work on the second part of, you know, if you haven't done a complete song, which you probably have not, just a motif like what I used to get, have him subscribe not subscribe. What did I just say?
Transcribe
the next section that comes to you. And then one of the ways I used to work on a song, like I've got music going on in my house all day long when I'm talking to clients and everything, very soft, but it's what I call a better sound. When I was trying to figure out the rest of a song, I would turn off everything, television, no radio, nothing, no phonograph, whatever, and walk around singing that motif, whatever it is, over and over and over, and then just let it go. Continue to walk around my house doing stuff, maybe cleaning or, I don't know, looking at something, not trying to get too distracted though, just something mindless. And then here comes the second part of it. Oh, wait a minute, let me sing that in, you know? And then the next part would come, and then before you know it, you got a whole song, or maybe the whole rest of it would come. And then when I started writing lyrics, sometimes the lyrics would come first with the melody. And that was kind of wild because I had never written lyrics before. So, you know, you got to open yourself up and stop telling yourself you can't do stuff because you can do more than you think. And I tell this to audiences all the time that God has given all of us multiple talents. It's like most of us ignore it. And you might come up with a poem in your head and you're thinking, this is stupid. And just move on, try to block it, do something else, put on the radio or go watch TV or whatever you're doing, you know. But if you would write that down, or you might have the thought about a novel, a book, or your own life story, that's some segments of it that's interesting. Just get a little notebook and start writing that down. And you get some more thoughts about, wow, that was a funky thing that happened to me when I was a kid. Write that down. And before you know it, you'll have a whole memoir.
That's true.
So something to think about. Yeah. Don't block your blessings.
Well, I do have them all on my phone. I just haven't figured out how to do the next step with it.
Find a keyboard player go to Chiefs and find a keyboard player. Become friends with them. Don't ask them to do it for free. Pay them whatever you agree to, maybe per song or whatever, to just start transcribing it for you so you'll have the physical music. Nobody can ever take that away from you. And then you've got to have it copywritten so that someone can't steal it, including the keyboard player.
Right.
So think about that.
You think not? I'm thinking about it. Because I said, I know I got some hits in my head.
I bet you do. I bet you do.
So I want to play another song. Let's play Love Mission. We can't do this without playing Love Mission.
Okay.
Right?
Absolutely.
Now, this is off the 1989 album, Love Madness.
Boy, you have definitely done your homework.
Hey, you can't do this and be sleeping. You know, you got to come correct.
Some people do.
So, yeah, let's play this. No, because that's, if you're going to do this, you got to make sure that you do your research. I have a lot of artists come in and say,
right.
Huh?
If you want to do it right, mean people do it off the top of their head and it sounds like it.
So no, I don't do that. It's my reputation. This is going out around the world.
Wow. You have to send me a list, or when we finish this interview, you have to tell me about your whole platform.
Okay.
And also, am I going to get a link at some point that I can share with my fans and audience?
Definitely. I got you. But right now, we just going to play a little Love Mission.
Because I love Love Mission. I haven't played that in a while either. So you kind of reminding me I got to bring that out of the vault to play.
Bring it on out. When you come to Uncle Chiefs. Let's go. Let's speak it into fruition. Let's speak it into the universe.
Yes. I'm waiting for that phone call from Ian.
It's going to happen because you're right here. Come on now.
But I'm also a bad sister. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm
Come
saying.
on. And I put on a really, really good show.
So he better, you hear, hey, Ian, if you're listening, Jen, if you're listening, you know what to do. This is Love Mission. I just love that. What I love about your music is it's just so tranquil,
Well, thank you. Thank you. See, you haven't played any of my funky stuff like Naughty Girl.
That's true. Right. A little Beyonce tribute over there.
Or, Symphonic Rock Suite #3.
Right.
And I think you're picking what mood you're in, which is cool because you're playing some of my favorite stuff.
Now, one song on there is called the Metro North. So I'm thinking this is probably around the time when you moved to Connecticut.
Well, you know what? I used to ride the Metro North going to see my boyfriend that lived off that corridor. And so you're right. You're right. Yep.
Yep. Because I used to work in the city. Well, when I moved to Connecticut like 13. Oh my God. Was it 13 years? Yeah, 13 years ago.
Okay.
And I still commuted for 10 years.
Right.
Down to the city. And I used to get on that Metro North. I'm not driving. You know?
I drove for a while and that was like murder, but I had like a very small apartment on the Upper East Side. So I used to stay there. That was my original apartment, you know, during the week. And then on the weekends, I would come up here. So I did that until I got fired. And then I was up here all the time.
No, when I asked you about the song.
That was a good thing, though. See, I needed to be booted out of there so I could start my career for real and not just do it on the side, you know?
And since you had that backing, once, you know, once K-Tel was over, you was able to do it yourself because you had all that knowledge.
Well, that's true. That's true. And then I was also being an independent promoter during that time. That's how I actually was earning a living until my records took off and I was making enough money, you know, to support myself. Because I do a music business seminar on the college level and also for arts organizations and whatnot, sometimes even corporations, which is kind of interesting. But, you know, kids ask me like, how did you make that transition, you know, getting or having a full-time job and having at the end of 2 weeks a salary to no salary at all? And in the music business, honestly, it's up and down, up and down, up and down. And when you do make your money, you really have to put it away and not be frivolous and say, oh, now I'm going to go out and get a Gucci purse or something. No, you're not. You better put that money in the bank, you know, because can be periods of months when you're not working. And nobody talks about that. You know, for an independent musician, it's no joke. And especially if you have a house or even if you're just paying rent, you still have a lot of expenses that you have to come up with every month.
So true.
You know, and if you're not home living with mommy and daddy and you're a grown person, you got to figure that out. Yeah. Whether it's working a full-time job and doing it on the side until you can get enough of a reputation and figure out how to do this. But when I talk to students, I talk about the realities of finding work and not practicing all day. I'm literally, when I come in from the gym, I have breakfast, I'm at my desk all day and I have lists. Like I have this, which is a typed up, this is 11 pages of single wording of all kinds of people that could possibly hire me, previous clients that have hired me, some people that I've met that could hire me, but that have not hired me. Then I could show you, but anyway, I have a big cabinet over here full of Rolodexes, and they're all segmented. And I've got corporations, I've got private groups, I've got Black organizations, and I'll pull out a Rolodex like this. Let me show you one because people can't even believe I still have a Rolodex.
Right.
I'll go through these cards and start calling people. And I'm not going to say, hey, you got a gig for me or when's the next concert? I'm going to say, hey, Troy, how you doing? You know, what's going on? And, you know, how's your daughter? What's she up to? And on your card, I might write that you have a daughter and, you know, what you're about and, you know, you're hearing music in your head. I might put all of these notes down on your card. So when we talk, I'm going to talk to you about that. I'm not going to talk to you about hiring me or putting me in touch with somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So what you're doing is you're trying to formulate a relationship with people. And they know who you are. You don't have to be telling them every 2 seconds. They know you working, you know, looking for work. And then if something comes up, oh, you know what? My group, my AKA group is looking for some entertainment because, you know, in next year in February, we're having an event and we need like a trio, or we need a quartet, or we need someone to play the tracks, whatever it is. Here's the person that's heading our search committee. So why don't you send them your stuff? That's how it happens. And then you got to follow up. Once they give you the person's email and phone number, then you can't just put it out there and leave it. So then that's where this Rolodex or this long list of names that I have gives me a clue as to when the thing is going to be. Maybe it's not till next June. Maybe it's March of next year. Maybe it's December of this year. Then I've got to follow up with the person and say, has your committee made a decision yet? Do you need something else? Do you need a quote from me? What do you need? Yeah. Is there anything else I can do for you? Or are you good? Mm-hmm. But keep in touch, and that's hard. It's really hard. And at the end of the day, you're worn out. I'm stressed out. I really am. Because most people don't pick up the phone, number one.
Right.
So then you've got to leave a poignant message that makes some sense, not just, hi, this is Sherry Winston, give me a call, here's my number. Right. What does that mean? Right. Person's probably not going to call you. But, if I can say, oh man, I did this great interview with this guy named Troy Saunders and we talked about everything. And, I'm just leaving that on the message. And also I'm, doing a concert next week or 2 weeks from now, whatever it is. And, I'd love to have you come. Here's what it is. Or if I know the person's a golfer, I could say, oh man, I played last week, at Richter Park, and oh my God, I made this great shot. It went right on the green. And, then I 3-putted after I got on the green and won. I messed up my score, so you're talking about something because they're a golfer, or maybe you talk about skiing because they're a skier.
Right, you got to make it more personable.
Yeah. Nobody wants to hear your woe is me thing, Exactly. Oh, I just got out of the hospital and got my appendix out and, now I'm laying up in bed. I can't eat anything. Nobody wants to hear that.
Next. Delete. Like I said at the beginning of this podcast, hey, we want to feel good. It's, we want to uplift. We want to, relate to something, make you feel good.
Right.
If I gotta say, oh Lord, mercy, my back done hurt today, nobody would hear all that.
Everybody, let's trade aches and pains. Everybody's got aches and pains and, anxiety about this, that, and the other thing. So people don't want to hear that,
Mm-mm.
Hi, this is Mason. You're listening to my friend Troy on the Bass Entertainment Podcast.
We're going to get to the next album right quick, and that is Love Is. Now, Love Is was Grammy nominated.
Right. Oh, boy, you do your homework. And that's I was awfully happy to have my stuff nominated. But, when you don't get past the first round, it's really sad, And as a matter of fact, I think I did get to the finals at the Grammy on that particular album. And I'm trying to think, I went to LA to go to the Grammys, and I think I lost to Miles Davis, so I wasn't but so broken up, but still, you hate to lose. Yeah. And, if you're with an independent label, it's really hard because like the big guys, at least this is how it used to be, used to put ads in the trade magazines, Billboard, Cashbox, whatever, was big time. And they would have placements. They had a whole department that would do placements, at the New York Times or, announcing your record, or it might have a little thing about what the record, how it sounds, with the music critic. So when you're with an independent label, they can't afford all of that. They don't have any publicity department. One guy might be doing everything, trying to do publicity, doing promotion, going to the stores, doing sales. One person can't do all of that stuff effectively. So, you don't have any full page ads in Billboard. Yeah. So people aren't going to vote for you, bottom line. And as a matter of fact, I got up at one of the NARAS meetings, National Association of Recording Artists, and opened up my mouth and said how unfair the whole business was, with small labels and whatnot, that artists like myself didn't really have a chance, and they didn't appreciate hearing that.
I'm sure they
So, no.
Well, you know what? I was just granted membership.
Oh yeah, all right.
In NARIS this year. So I'm happy. Maybe I can make a difference for independent artists. And what happened was independent artists that put a recommendation for me. They said, we need your voice in there. We need you, somebody that speaks up more for independent artists.
Right. But see, you need a lot of people voting for you. You used to get a book this thick, and I would always have like 300 people in my category, best jazz solo. And you're competing against somebody totally unknown, and then you're competing against Herbie Hancock, So Chick Corea or whoever put out a record that year, you're competing against them. So people that don't really know your music, they know, oh yeah, I know who that is. Oh, Beyonce, let me vote for her. In another category, best record of the year, or I know Jay-Z, blah, blah, blah. So the artists that have been promoted more are the ones that are going to get voted for, honestly. So it's sort of even with the singles that I've recorded since, in the last few years, I was brokenhearted because I submitted stuff which was very hard. I had to actually hire a computer specialist to come in here and help me try to upload the stuff that I needed to upload and fill out the forms and all of that online, to submit the various singles that I had done. And then after all of that, and you don't even get to the first level, it's like, oh my gosh, and you spend all this money recording these singles.
It's a crazy business.
It is. It is.
And it's unfair and one-sided. And it's unfair and one-sided.
Yeah, it is. It really is. So it's a tough business. And, when you get defeated, you got to just lick your wounds and get up and keep going. Yeah. And just surround yourself with positive, good people, with friends. That's when it's really important to have friends and, not let yourself get down in the dumps and all, broken up about this stuff, because it's a hard business. And there'll be times, I'm calling people all day long and maybe I haven't connected with one live person. No one's picked the phone up. So then I go downstairs in my house and meditate, to just try to get all this negative stuff out of my head, and then maybe go prep my dinner, which I enjoy doing. I make fresh stuff every day pretty much. So whether it's chopping onions and garlic and ginger and, getting my spices ready for when I'm going to stir fry something or whatever I'm doing, making chili or whatever. And then I'll go practice. And after all of that, those 3 steps, my mind is clear and I can practice. Yeah. So I'll practice, and I might not have any gig, that I can look at and say, okay, I'm practicing for this. You're not practicing for anything because you don't have any gigs or concerts coming up, but you better practice.
Right, because you never know when something's going to come up and you got to be in, ready.
In shape. Yeah, somebody could call me and say, which has happened to me. The Boulé called me one time, a guy from Pepsi who was in the Boulé, and he said, we had this band coming, not you, but we had this band coming and they've canceled and it's like the night before. Can you do me a big favor? Can you cover this gig for me? Of course I can cover it. And I know I've practiced. I know my guys have practiced. Call up my band members. And then that's when it gets tricky. When you get something and it's like 2 days notice or the night before, you're counting on your band. Now, if somebody's already booked, they're not just working with you, they're working with sidemen are working with a whole lot of other people. Yeah. Baby, I'd love to do it. I'm getting ready to go out of town. I just got this call, blah, blah, blah. Then you start going through your Rolodex of musicians. And first you go through people that you've worked with and they know your music. Right. Then you get to people, and this has happened to me. This happened to me last year, where I got a phone call kind of at the last minute. This person decided they were doing this event in New York, and now they had enough money to hire a group to perform. So I started calling people, and, keyboard players specifically couldn't find anybody. So I had to get really creative. And the only person in my band that could make it was my bass player. So I said, Steve, we're going to play the tracks. I'm going to call my client. I'm not going to try to sneak this in on her. And I'm going to tell you, I agreed to bring a trio. I can't do it because it's the last minute and I can't find a keyboard player. But you will have the music, all the music from all of my CDs is what I'll be playing. So we played the live tracks, or I should say tracks. They're not live, but the tracks. My bass player and myself. And the bass was already on the recordings. I really didn't need him, but I needed another visual person on stage so people would feel, it was a whole big auditorium full of people, that they would feel a band was there and not just this girl playing the tracks.
Right.
So that's what we did. He was thumping and he was doing his thing. He was moving and I'm grooving and, we're moving around and having fun and clapping and doing all this stuff and taking people's mind off the fact there's only two of us on stage, not three or four.
Right.
So that's what you do. And she loved it. She absolutely loved it. The audience didn't even think about who wasn't there. They just knew they were loving the music. Right. So you got to be creative and, you don't want to lose the gig. That's for sure.
No, not at all.
Hey, this is flutist Daryl Evan Jones, the ambassador of instrumental soul. Check out Troy Saunders on the Bass Entertainment Podcast.
I wanted to ask you about this also because on Life is Love and Love is You, you had like a little Stevie Wonder thing going on there.
You know who that is? That's John Lucien.
Right.
I don't know.
I was about to say, that sounds like John. I was going to ask about John Lucien. Was he singing on that song, on the title song?
Yep, he sure was. Right. And oh my God, I love John Lucien.
His voice is...
What a singer. What a professional. He killed it. He killed it.
You know what? Let's play some of that Life is Love and Love is You with you and John Lucien.
This, my love, I know is true. This great love I feel for you. When I see your smiling face in my place, no one loves you like I do. Since I went and fell for you, life is love and love is you. When I see you look at me, I can see no one loves me like you. This, my love, I know is true. This great love I feel for you. When I see your smiling face in my place, no one loves you like I do.
I mean, I've worked with some awesome people. Eric Gale, Patrice Rushen, and all of these artists, even Patrice Rushen, when she played a few songs with me, she was not happy with her performance. I mean, she killed it on the first take. Oh, no, that's no good. I got to do it over. Patrice, there's nothing to do. That's perfect. How are you going to, be won over on perfection? Oh, no, I got to do it again. I said, you causing me a headache because you just put down 20 perfect tracks. Now, what am I going to pick?
Right.
And Eric Gale, the same thing, a fantastic guitarist who's unfortunately no longer with us, but he was on hundreds and hundreds of records, one of the most sought after studio musicians. And he came in and played for me. He was like a big superstar at that point, as far as musicians were concerned. Played for, what local 802 Musicians Union was paying for a session. So the same thing with Marcus Miller. I mean, these people, my beginning albums, they were just, Grover, Najee, Kirk Whalum, all these guys were just so wonderful to me. They could have charged me thousands and thousands that I couldn't afford. And they just said, baby, pay me what you can, don't worry about it. It's like, what? Wonderful, wonderful people.
That's what I'm talking about. And you can hear it. It came out, the music is so beautiful. I was sitting here trying to pick out tracks. Look, I don't know if you can see my chicken scratch, but I have all this stuff written.
Wow, I love it. I love it.
But what I did do is I picked my favorites and I made a playlist on Spotify. Mm-hmm. So
did you?
Yeah. So anybody that wants to, listen to my favorites of Sherry Winston, go over to Bass Entertainment on Spotify and listen to the playlist. Yeah.
All right. I love it. I love it. I love it.
So let's talk about the latest single, Spice Island. Were you away and you was just, because you like to travel, don't you?
I do. I do love to travel. No, as a matter of fact, I was up in Canada. This was a few years back. And I was promoting my cookbook for Lovers Only, a Cookbook and More, which has a romantic CD that's in the back of the cookbook. So I was there promoting that. And I also played to tracks. And a friend that I had met through some other friends hosted this at a bookstore and set up a whole sound system for me. He got a friend to come in and put that together so that I could play a couple of the songs from the album that was, or I should say the CD that was in the book, and talk about it and what the recipes were like. And I give advice to lovers what to do. If you've been married 25 years, you got to bring some spice into your, into your relationship and, get the groove back on and all of that, what to do and how to entice your husband after all of these years. I mean, it's a great book. It really is. So I was there promoting that. And at the end of the whole thing, someone said, you see that gentleman over there? His name is Eddie Bullen. He's a composer, an artist, a keyboard player. I said, oh, really? Oh, yeah. And he's got some CDs. And I'm thinking, it's probably terrible, because I hear all this garbage sometimes. And I'm thinking,
okay.
So I went over and met him, trying to be positive, and we traded a few CDs. He gave me his, gave him mine. So got back to LaGuardia Airport, and I got my car there. So I put one of his CDs in the car, and I said, oh, my goodness, what? By the time I drove home, he had given me his card. Child, I got on the phone and I started talking to that brother. I said, Eddie Bullen, I love your album. I want to come back and record these songs with you. 3 songs I picked out from his CDs. And that's what I did. He sent me through my keyboard player, through his studio, the tracks that I could now work with. And I practiced and practiced until I felt comfortable with the songs and went up to Canada and recorded with him. And Spice Island was one of those. And Mardi Gras was another one, and Regatta. So those are the 3 songs that I recorded with him. And that's a talented brother. Oh, my goodness. And see, that's having a closed mind, just assuming this is going to be terrible. That stuff was awesome. Just awesome.
Wow. Well, let's play a little bit of Spice Island.
Okay.
Now, this is the newest release, which came out last year. But I love it. So I want y'all to check it out. I want y'all also, if you like what you're hearing, if you enjoying the conversation, and if you just love great jazz music, please go over to Sherry Winston on Spotify, wherever you listen to music at, and support, download, share, tell other people. It's so good when we can spread the word, because it's so much good music out there. We always say, there's not good music out there. There is good music out there. It's just that nobody's sharing it with anybody else. We got to tell somebody else to get the word out. So,
and you know what? They can actually call me, or they can email me at sherrywinstonband@gmail.com. And they can purchase physical CDs if people still have CD players in their car or wherever, besides streaming.
Excellent. See, that's what I love. That's why I try to tell everybody also, an artist. I'm like, if you got an album or a CD or whatever type of means, some people do it on hard drives now that you can plug it into your computer. They sell those.
Wow.
However you want to do it, but you can make more money, if by having a hard copy than you ever will on streaming.
Oh, yeah. You get ripped off with streaming. You really do. You get checks for 25 cents and all of that. It's like crazy.
Right. Where you sell one album or one CD, shall I say, and that's 1 million streams,
Exactly. Exactly. So, when you're doing your concerts, you have to set up a little table, have somebody come and help you, or you can do it. Sometimes there's nobody to help me, so I'm out there myself. And people love it because they're meeting the artists. I'm signing autographs. They're taking pictures. They're getting my product. They're getting my book. And sometimes they have no intention of buying a book, but they'll come and they'll look at it and they'll say, wow, this is beautiful. Look at the type. Look at all the photos of food, This, I got to get this, $30. What? And the book's like 200 pages, And you get a CD in it also.
Okay.
That's a bargain.
That's what I'm talking about. Where can they go to your page and get that too?
They most certainly can. And if they have problems on the page, sometimes people do, they can just email me, Sherry Winston Band, BAND @gmail.com, or they can get in touch with Troy and he can give you my number. And we can go from there. And I can use the Square on my phone, and you can put it on your credit card, whatever you want to buy. It's great gifts too, really is.
All right, now you heard it. You heard it. Go on and support. You have no reason not to support. We've got so many ways, so many good things, so many good products. Hey, go on over to Sherry Winston, or send an email to Sherry Winston band @gmail.com, or on her webpage, which is sherrywinston.com, correct?
Right.
Yeah. So let's play a little Spice Island. Huh?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Shoot. Love that. I hate to fade it, shoot, but I'm just giving people 1 minute and 30 seconds.
So, Troy, people listen to your podcast that are this long? You have some loyal fans.
Yeah, because I think it's interesting.
I think so, too. I hope they do.
Yeah. Well, speaking of length, unfortunately, I got to get up out of here myself.
I know you do. You probably lost track of the time, right? Because I have a clock right in front of me and I'm saying, wow, this is an hour and 25 minutes. This is the longest interview I've done in a long time, which is wonderful because, you've got some good questions. I can feel your vibe over here. And, it's just like we're, having a cup of tea together or something, which is great.
That's why I love to do it.
Incredible. And when we finish this, I'm going to call you just for a few minutes because I know you have to go. But we got a plan to get together before I go out of the country, okay? Okay. Because we live in very close proximity to each other.
Yes, we
do. And we're not going to mention it on the, on the podcast.
People trying to get over there.
I'm sure we're like probably a mile or a couple of miles from each other, I bet.
Easily.
Yeah. So
definitely. Well, I just want to say, thank you for coming on. It's been so exciting. It's been so interesting. I love the conversation. I'm hoping that everybody that's tuned in loved the conversation and loved the music. And please come back.
Anytime. I love talking with you. I just feel like we've known each other for a long time. And in fact, we just met, even though we've talked on the phone a few times. I mean, this is just so personable. And, that's why I want to get together with you and have some coffee, have some lunch, whatever is good for you, dinner, the whole works.
All right, let's do that.
Okay. And thank you so much. You've been a wonderful host and a great interviewer. This has been fun for me too.
Well, thank you. And I look forward to getting together.
Okay, I'm calling you after this.
All right. And thank you.
Pick up the phone. I'll just keep you a few minutes.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for checking this out. Once again, if you want to get a Bass t-shirt or a hoodie or a candle, hit me up at bassentertainment.com. That's BAAS entertainment.com. And I'll ship one right out to you. And thank you, everyone that's been listening, everybody that's been supporting me for 3 years, going on 4 years we've been doing this. And it just keeps getting better. And please, let's continue to love one another, share love, and lovers in need of love today. And hopefully you found that here. Until next week, peace.
Hey, y'all, this is David P. Stevens.
Hello, this is Christian De Masonis, a.k.a. Big New York.
Hey, it's Miss Grenade.
Hey, this is David Sosa, the Latin Prince of Soul.
Hey, everybody, this is Kevin Owens.
Troy. Gordon Chambers in the building.
Hey, this is Lettuce. Hey, it's Helen Bruner and Terry Jones.
Hey, this is your girl, Lady Alma.
Hey, this is soul jazz recording artist Frank McComb.
Hello, everybody. This is Ricky Jones.
Hey, this is Sticks Bones, that grooving drummer.
Hey, this is Toy Taha.
Yo, what's up, everybody? This is Mark the Divine.
Hi, this is Mason. You're listening to my friend Troy on the Bass Entertainment Podcast.